at the press conference, which I thought was quite interesting, that he's a black man. And as I laid and cried and hurt for Tamika Palmer and for Breonna Taylor and for Kenny Walker and for Janiyah, who we need to love up on. As I laid there and I thought about him saying he's a black man, I thought about the ships that went into Fort Monroe and Jamestown with our people on them over 400 years ago. And how there were also black men on those ships that were responsible for bringing our people over here. Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery.
She said it.
And helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them and to traffic them while our women were raped, while our men were raped by savages. That is who you are, Daniel Cameron. You are a coward, you are a sellout, and you were used by the system to harm your own mama, your own black mama. We have no respect for you, no respect for your black skin, because all of our skin folk ain't our kinfolk, and you do not belong to black people at all.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Sweet the Podcast, episode 40. It's been a fucking long time coming, and yes, it is your host, your sweet boy, Will the Third, and I thank everybody for watching, who continues to watch and support Sweet the Podcast, because we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter /Periscope. That video before was Tamika fucking Mallory of Until Freedom. You know, you've probably seen her in a lot of the things she's done before, retaining to George Floyd and marching out there and everything. But that video from Tamika Mallory, and just because it's I can do what the fuck I want and I can, I'm gonna play that shit one more time. And this is for Daniel J. Cameron, the Attorney fucking General of Kentucky, the fucking state.
He mentioned at the press conference, which I thought was quite interesting, that he's a black man. And as I laid and cried and hurt for Tamika Palmer and for Breonna Taylor and for Kenny Walker and for Janiyah, who we need to love up on. As I laid there and I thought about him saying he's a black man, I thought about the ships that went into Fort Monroe and Jamestown with our people on them over 400 years ago. And how there were also black men on those ships that were responsible for bringing our people over here. Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery.
She said it.
And helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them and to traffic them while our women were raped, while our men were raped by savages. That is who you are, Daniel Cameron. You are a coward, you are a sellout, and you were used by the system to harm your own mama, your own black mama. We have no respect for you, no respect for your black skin, because all of our skin folk ain't our kinfolk, and you do not belong to black people at all.
I don't think I could have said it better or more eloquently than Tamika Mallory, y'all. And if you aren't sure who Daniel J. Cameron is, that means you're trying to live under a motherfucking rock. Daniel J. Cameron is the Attorney General of Kentucky, this clown right here, bubbing up to Trump and all the things and what have you. The people are upset because Daniel J. Cameron decided to charge the officer, one of the three main ones, with wonton motherfucking bullshit. That's what I call it. Every time I see that, wonton endangerment. Bitch, wonton bullshit. Because it's just the system trying to scurry their way out of prosecuting their own blue lives. That blue code is serious as shit. And I just want y'all to know, just to give you a hint. And just, you don't know a real clip, this is the clown we talking about right here. And if you're not sure with the Breonna Taylor case, I'm going to give you a quick 2-minute rundown. They had a no-knock warrant at first to go into Breonna Taylor's apartment because of suspectedly the people that used to live there sold drugs and all this shit. Let's go to this real quick. I don't know why you need a no-knock warrant just because of drugs that you got to go in, SWAT ready, guns a-blazing, but we'll get back to that. They had a no-knock warrant, but at the last minute, people don't never mention this, and I don't know why. That no-knock warrant was changed because the judge came back and redacted that bitch and said, nope, you need to have a no-knock and announce warrant. So when they went to Breonna Taylor's house, they were supposed to announce themselves. But they didn't. Boom, 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 boom. We're moving forward. So when they get to Breonna Taylor's house, this is the story. Breonna Taylor was not asleep when the police came in and did the thing. This is what happened. This is according to Tamika Mallory, who talked with Tamika Palmer and Kenny Walker. Tamika Palmer is Breonna Taylor's mother. Kenny Walker is Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who was in the apartment with her, lived with her. They were watching a movie on TV. She was falling asleep. He was still awake, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, turn off the TV. She went laid in the bed. He was in there too. They got a boom, 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 boom at the door. They like, who is it? Nobody says anything. Remember, I said that no-knock warrant was changed to a no-knock and announce yourself. But anyway, so she got out of the bed. She got up. Okay. They're still banging on the door, and they're not announcing it's the police. She's up, awake, and Kenny, when they bust in the door, Kenny, her boyfriend, has a gun, licensed to carry, and he shoots one round in the ground, not at the police. He shot at one in the ground because he doesn't even know it's the police. He don't know if it's an intruder, and that shows you the type of motherfucker he is, because if you breaking up in my house and you're not announcing yourself, and I see the door physically open, I'm not shooting at the ground, niece. I'm shooting at that doorway, that crack in the door. But he shot at the ground, which is honestly, I guess, is a good thing, because if he actually would have shot and killed or injured one of those cops, he got arrested anyway. But when they bust through the door and he shot at the ground, they shot. There, some say 6, some say 7, some say 8. I've read all kinds of different reports from Breonna's attorneys to the legal system in Louisville, to all the indictment papers, and all the numbers vary. Nobody can agree on if it was 6, 7, or 8 shots that went through her. But we're going to say 6 to 8 bullets went through Breonna Taylor. And by this time, Kenny ain't shot off no more rounds. They come in and they shoot through the door. They shoot through the door. They bust in the door and they shooting through. So that's bullets flying everywhere. The apartment above, apartment next door, all through Breonna Taylor shit. All downstairs, it's just bullets flying all through the motherfucking, because in apartments, the walls are paper motherfucking thin, like paper thin. So Kenny, her boyfriend, says that she was laying on the ground. She was like saying the last words. I really don't want to repeat because I really don't know verbatim what she said, but it was something pertaining to her mother, that he was in there. The police are not in yet. Now, after they shot through the door, after they tried to bust through and he shot at the ground, the police didn't come all the way in after that shot. They just shot through the door, through the walls, boom, boom, boom. So now she's laying there bleeding out for about 8 minutes or so. This is 2 reports. And so Kenny is calling 911 and saying, yo, somebody is trying to come into the house. He still didn't say it was the police. He didn't, I guess he didn't know. So what happened, what have you? That is the case of Breonna Taylor and what happened with that. Now we go through all this shit, go through all this protest and all this march and all this laws being changed to get to wanton endangerment. And the wanton endangerment wasn't even for the bullets flying through her apartment, because they're going to say that is viable because they had a warrant to go to her house, even though it wasn't for her specifically. She was nowhere mentioned in the indictment papers. Like I read the all that shit. I really did, and her name was not mentioned once. So she is not even a factor in the murder. Okay, let's get to that. Now, I also just want to talk about one other thing, and the main thing I want to talk about that was Breonna Taylor and the facts. We finna just dig on this bitch real quick and real easy because I just really want y'all to know. And I heard people saying that he's married to Mitch McConnell's granddaughter. That has neither been confirmed or denied. We do not know for sure if he is in fact the this bitch here, that hoe right there. We don't know. I've been digging to confirm if he is in fact married to Mitch McConnell, who, if you don't know who Mitch McConnell is, I'm gonna give you a boom quick of him. That's Mitch McConnell right there. That clown. He is the Senate whip, the Senate majority leader right there. I'm sorry, but that's how it is to me. Now, we're going to go to that. Now, Trump, and this is all going to tie together. I touched on Breonna Taylor, what the real facts are for her murder. I touched on the fact of A.J. Cameron declaring we don't know what he presented to the grand jury, so boom, 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 boom. Let's talk about real quick Trump supporting A.J. Cameron and saying he's handling this very well and he's a superstar. Some reports say that he's supposed to be on the motherfucking short list to be the replacement for RGB's seat in the Supreme Court. We don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. That's Trump's. We already know how Trump is going to be. But let's get on Biden, because this is the guy that these people are trying to get us to vote to. That's what I'm trying to get to real quick. And I ain't going to be here all day talking about these fucking voting bitches and do bitches that say you don't want to vote. And I get the people that don't, and I get the people that do. So I'm going to break it down real quick. And I love that this is streaming everywhere. And I love that this is archived so you all can see. Now, Biden urges peaceful protests. And this is what I'm reading from here. Biden said this: do not sully her memory, Breonna Taylor's, who is the her we're referring to, or her mother's, by engaging in any violence. He urged, it's totally inappropriate for that to happen. She wouldn't want it, nor would her mother. So I hope they do that. Breonna Taylor wouldn't want people going up in arms for her. Joe Biden said this now. I just really want y'all to know that. Joe Biden said that Breonna Taylor wouldn't want people to go to war, to bat. He said not using violence, but Joe Biden said this. Now, if we want to talk about really Joe Biden real quick. Sorry, I blacked out. But I'm going to get to the 1994 crime bill. The 1994 crime bill, this is the shit that Trump is going to run into Biden's ass. This is the shit that the people that don't want to vote, the liberals, the Democrats that are against Biden, there are some, who's the reason why they don't want to agree with him. And this is why I don't like fucking Biden and other things. Because one of the most controversial criminal justice issues in the 2020 Democratic primary is tough on crime law passed 25 years ago. And that's the crime bill of 1994. Now, this bill was passed by Bill Clinton, y'all supposed first black fucking president. But I'm going to let that slide. I'm not going to tear into Bill Clinton ass. But he was a piece of shit too. Which that crime bill was supposed to meant to reverse a decade of rising crime. You know, the war on drugs that Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan fuck ass, after they implemented crack into the hood, that's when they wanted to now have a war on drugs, because the cartel was still making billions of dollars a month shipping cocaine in. There was no way they can stay ahead of cocaine, and they still can't stay ahead of drugs right now. So it was the key, but this shit that was supposed to decrease crime It did not that, but only thing that it did, it increased the mass incarceration in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and now in the 20s, the roaring motherfucking 20s AC after coronavirus. And that's the fucking thing with Biden. People don't trust this bitch because he's telling you, number one, not to protest, not to riot, not to be violent. Breonna Taylor wouldn't want that. Bitch, you can't speak for Breonna Taylor. What the fuck are you talking about? Biden cannot speak and say what Breonna Taylor fucking would want. She's dead. And his white ass is alive trying to get a fucking black vote and trying to keep the peace. Fuck the peace. And, you know, I've been saying this since this whole revolution started, which was sparked by Mr. George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor was really around that exact same time. My whole solution to it all, people don't like it. And before I'm going to say this is my solution to it all, period. Burn it all down. My father watched this and told me that I should keep my political views off of my page because I will get the wrong. It's just going to clash. Let me tell y'all now who don't want to hear about political shit. I'm not all about political shit. One day I'm going to be talking about niggas getting fucked raw in the back seat. One day I'll talk about you goddamn fighting for black and trans rights. And one day I'll be talking about music and movies. I wanted to talk about a whole nother shit, but until this bullshit verdict came out, this is what I have to talk about because I do have some sort of platform to speak on it, and that's what I'm gonna fucking do. And I don't give a fuck if the right people will watch and the wrong people will kick rocks. And if he felt that way, that motherfucker can kick rocks too, because you damn sure don't have to watch. And that's period. And just again, my solution to it all, burn it. Now, like I said, Joe Biden has no fucking voice to tell the protesters what Breonna Taylor would want, what anything to do. Joe Biden is the police. But I'm trying to tell you, don't take that as that you don't need to vote. I get it as a lesser of two evil things, but at the point that we're rating in, I really need the people that are feeling like they don't want to vote to take that and put it back to the back burner, because there's one thing we need to do. We have to vote because the people tell me, why are you gonna vote? You always talking about burn the system. You always talking about you want to burn it all down, abolish the police. And I do. I fucking really do. And I know we will see it in my lifetime. I am 32 years old. We will see it in this millennial's lifetime. I guarantee it. I don't know how old I will be, but it will be burnt down. America will fall. But in the meantime, there are people, my ancestors died for the fucking right to vote in this country that we built. So I can just, what is it hurting for me to vote? Not a goddamn thing. So I shall vote, even though I know the system is corrupt. I know there's voter suppression. I know they're trying to keep the vote lie. And Trump already said that he keeps pussy whipping and pussy farting shit about, oh, I don't trust the polls, and we're going to Philadelphia, and this bitch is already doing some underhanded conniving shit. He know he can't pull that Russia stunt again because they on his ass. So he's trying all this way talking about, oh, the election is not fair. Bitch, we been knew the election wasn't fair, but now that everybody trying to get rallied to vote, now you want to claim that, oh, the ballots could be miscounted, all the eat a dick. Now, I want to get real quick on this hoe. Take it in, soak it in. I call him Mitch Turkey Neck McConnell. I don't know what that is on the right-hand side. I saw this picture on, I don't know where, but it looked perfect for me. Now, if you want to know who Mitch McConnell is, I'm going to tell you who he is. Mitch McConnell is a Senate Majority Leader, elected to that position unanimously by his Republican colleagues, first in 2014 and again in 2016. He is the second Kentuckian to ever serve as Majority Leader in the U.S. Senate. And he's called the most conservative leader of either party in history of the Senate. Now, on the night of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, R fucking BG, her death, that night, the bitch died. On the night that bitch died, this motherfucker, because Trump announced right after the bitch body was announced that she was going to the funeral home, when he found out who was doing the body, who doing the body. When he found that out, Trump said, "Oh well, I'm finna move quick." This bitch tweeted this, and right behind him came Mitch McConnell saying that Trump nominee to replace Ginsburg will get the vote on the Senate floor. We're all doing it. We're doing it for him. We're doing it. Now, the announcement promised the use of power without hesitation or compunction. An abrupt reversal of the supposed rule that blocked an Obama nomination 9 months before the 2016 election. 9 months before Obama was finna leave office, they told him, "Oh no, bitch, you cannot pick a fucking Supreme Court nominee. We don't want you approving any laws. We don't want you doing a goddamn thing but sitting in that White House and wait until we get your ass out." They wouldn't let Obama do shit. Keep that in mind. Now, this supposed rule was seen much better justified in 2020 than in 2016. Why? Because this time the vacancy has only occurred 46 days before the election. RGB died 46 days before. And when Obama was trying to put a Supreme Court nominee in that fucking chair, they said, nah, it's 9 months before, it's too close. Not 9 months too close? 9 months too close? Oh, okay. Meanwhile, they're finna replace RGB in that seat. I don't see nobody stopping it. I don't see it not happening. It's gonna happen. Now, why do the fucking Supreme Court justices serve for a fucking lifetime? I'm gonna tell you real quick. In the modern era, that often means more than 3 decades on the court. Now, when they implemented this law that Supreme Court justices were supposed to sit on there for a lifetime, this is in the 1800s and shit, y'all. Your lifespan wasn't as long as it is now. So these bitches was only expected to serve for 16 years. That was a normal rate of a Supreme Court justice back in the day when they made this fucking amendment law. The Supreme Court justice served for life because, bitch, by the time generations become into the world, these bitches be done died out, because by the time they 45, they finna die of some malaria, gangrene, or some bullshit. Supreme Court justices back in the day did not live that long. It was normal rate for them to serve 16 years. Now, with the life expectancy expanded in modern medicine and shit like that, and antibiotics, these bitches are living a long time, especially when they got that money, which Supreme Court justices do have the best health care. You see, this bitch done beat cancer about 26 times, and she's been still here working out in the gym. They will keep them alive. So that's why Supreme Court justices got to serve for life, because your life wasn't expected to be that long, especially by the time you got high enough to serve on the Supreme Court, bitch. You was going to be out of here real soon. And this is one, I'm going to read this. This is from an article from, I'll tell you where when I get to the end of it, but I'm going to read this real quick just to give you your facts so you can know this shit about a Supreme Court justice. The U.S. Constitution doesn't exactly specify that justices and the court are in a death to a do us part relationship. Article 3 says the judges of both the Supreme Court and lower federal courts shall hold their offices during good behavior. So technically, a judge could be removed if they no longer meet the good behavior part of the clause, but there are otherwise no limits on their term. In practice, this means they have their seat for life, unless they are impeached and removed by Congress. Only 15 federal judges in U.S. history have ever been impeached by Congress. All lower court judges, and only 8 have been removed from their office. and some have resigned from their inevitable removal. You know, people know they got caught up in some shit, so they just want to resign and they ain't gonna get removed from that shit. The only Supreme Court justice ever Congress has tried to impeach was Samuel Chase. And bitch, I'm finna tell y'all something. That was appointed, and this motherfucker was appointed by George Washington in 1796. Let me repeat that. The only Supreme Court justice ever to Congress ever tried, I didn't say successfully did it, they tried to impeach was Samuel Chase. This was in, and you know who appointed him? George fucking Washington. George Washington, and the first president, and in 1796. Do you get what I'm saying? Long thing I'm saying, ain't no fucking Supreme Court justice gonna get impeached, and they're not gonna get removed from office. It's just not gonna happen. And I'm saying all that to get to this, to the vote. You see how it has to go through hell and high water to get a bitch removed from office if they in their bitch fucking up? We done impeached Trump. His ass is still sitting in office. You can't impeach a Supreme Court justice. You can't get, I mean, you could try, but it's really not going to work, especially when you got a Senate run by the motherfucking Republicans. The only thing we have is to vote. And I say, fuck the system. I want to burn it all down. But we do have something. And what is it hurting for you to vote? I want it all to burn. I will vote and still be a participant in burning it down. I can multitask in this. I will play the game, the systemic game that you're trying to vote or suppress. I will play it and vote just to urge your ass. And then I'm still going to be in the lurking, in the dark, in the back rooms, back there meeting to try to tear all this shit down, because it is a wonderful year to overthrow a motherfucking country. And the places that you need to be worried about is not the fucking Supreme Court. It's not even the presidency. These ain't the offices you need to be worried about. It's the fucking local office, the local elections, your fucking circuit court judges, your mayor, your fucking alderwoman, alderman, alderperson. These are the motherfuckers that you need to be worried about. Your city treasurer. These are the things that need, and that affects upward, because you know who voted that motherfucking AG Cameron in? Daniel Cameron? The people. And let me say one thing about Daniel Cameron. Oh, I can take my time with this episode because it's episode 40. And I'm giving the facts for the people that'll be listening on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Google, anywhere you can listen to a podcast. This is for y'all. So I want y'all to have your information. This is back in the old days, like in episode 1 through 10, when it was just audio. And y'all was just hearing this soothing voice, just voice. So I'm giving y'all that. I'm giving you information like I really used to do, and I didn't do in some episodes. But Daniel J. Cameron, let's get back on this bitch, is the 51st Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He is the first African American independently elected to statewide office in Kentucky's history, and the first Republican elected to Attorney General's office in Kentucky since 1948. Attorney General Cameron approximately has 200 employees in 36 divisions across 4 states. This is the thing that I want to put into this stratosphere of the podcast land. As a chief law enforcement officer for the Commonwealth, he is committed to protecting Kentuckians, fighting the drug epidemic, and being a voice for the voiceless, including victims of child abuse, human trafficking, defending the laws of the Commonwealth. As a legal counsel to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Cameron successfully spearheaded the confirmation processes for conservative federal judges, including Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. Cameron has served as a spokesman For the Kentucky Smart on Crime Coalition in 2017, the Kentucky Narcotics Officers Association named him Legislative Staffer of the Year. His commitment to working with law enforcement was further acknowledged by the endorsement of the Kentucky Fraternal Order of Police. And maybe y'all didn't catch that first thing I said, but he's a legal counsel to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Right here, the one that's trying to hurry up and get RBG filled, the one that's got had on his desk for 584 days. You know, the bill that could pass the stimulus and continue unemployment assistance. The one that is suspected granddaughter is married to his legal counsel, but it's not confirmed. I have not yet confirmed that she is in fact Mitch McConnell's granddaughter. I don't know why it's so hard for me to confirm this information, but this shit is not easy to try to find some bitches like that family tree and genealogy. It's not. And even though it's just so closely, it's not as easy. But as I said, I was speaking on the fucking local election. Let's hear a word from my girl Kimberly Latrice Jones.
This is a debacle.
Yeah.
But we have to push past the vote. Let me be clear. Y'all have to vote, but we got to push past the vote, which means, and listen to me clearly about this, y'all have to understand the importance of calling in on public comment.
Yeah.
Every law amendment bill that gets passed in your area has a grace period where there is a thing called public comment, where the people have to call in and say yay or nay on that law. Let me be clear. They don't give a fuck about you, but they do care about getting reelected. And if 40% of their constituents call in to say, yes, we do want a law, and they don't vote for it, they know there's a pretty good chance that that 40% is going to galvanize and make sure they get out of office. So they're going to bend.
Yeah.
They're bent.
Yeah.
So y'all have to utilize public comment. You have every legal right to go to city council meetings and make your voice heard. Get off your motherfucking ass. Stop tweeting. Stop being on Instagram, being a fucking Instagram gangster. And if you really give a fuck about your community, get your motherfucking ass up and go down there to the city council meetings. Get your goddamn boards together. Know what the fuck you're talking about. Bring your own fucking data and get the shit changed.
Period.
Watch the brother in Syracuse.
Period.
Go and speak on behalf of
I see people that just came in when that video was playing, so just because I'm gonna play it again.
This is a debacle.
Yeah.
But we have to push past the vote. Let me be clear. Y'all have to vote, but we got to push past the vote, which means, and listen to me clearly about this, y'all have to understand the importance of calling in on public comment.
Yeah.
Every law amendment bill that gets passed in your area has a grace period where there is a thing called public comment, where the people have to call in and say yay or nay on that law. Let me be clear. They don't give a fuck about you, but they do care about getting reelected. And if 40% of their constituents call in to say, yes, we do want a law, and they don't vote for it, they know there's a pretty good chance that that 40% is going to galvanize and make sure they get out of office. So they're going to bend.
Yeah.
They're bent.
Yeah.
So y'all have to utilize public comment. You have every legal right to go to city council meetings and make your voice heard. Get off your motherfucking ass. Stop tweeting. Stop being on Instagram, being a fucking Instagram gangster. And if you really give a fuck about your community, get your motherfucking ass up and go down there to the city council meetings. Get your goddamn boards together. Know what the fuck you're talking about. Bring your own fucking data and get the shit changed.
Period.
Watch the brother in Syracuse.
Period.
Go and speak on behalf of the
Go and speak on behalf of your brothers and sisters that can't speak on behalf of themselves. That's what I say. So, you know, you gotta do something, and you just can't sit by and think that somebody else is gonna solve the fucking problems for you, because guess what? They're not. And I brought all that to talk about Combating Violence Disorder and Looting and Law Enforcement Protection Act. This act is passed, that's what Governor Ron DeSantis has put up for Florida. This motherfucker right here has decided to put that up. Now let's see what's in this act. that our Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Monday announced a tough new take on violent and disorderly protests in the state with the Combating Violence, Disorder, and Looting and Law Enforcement Protection Act. You see how long that fucking shit is to even say? Now, these are the major tenets of this proposal that he's coming up with. Imposing criminal penalties for violent or disorderly assemblies, making them a third-degree felony. Imposing a mandatory sentence of 6 months in jail for anyone who insults a law enforcement officer during a violent and disorderly protest. Now, you know the police can say that you've assaulted them even if you move your arm. If they putting the handcuffs on you too tight, they'll say, oh, ow, ow, you're fucking hurting me. Holding people in jail until after their first court appearance. Enhanced penalties for anyone throwing a projectile during a violent or disorderly protest. Enhanced penalties for people coming from out of state to participate in a violent or disorderly protest. Charging people with a felony for blocking roadways. The last protest, no, not the last protest. I've been in a lot of protests. But when George Floyd started popping off here in Orlando and we were taking to the streets, we went on the 408. They tear gassed us. I had videos and all this shit. They wanted us off that bitch, and that we shut down traffic. They weren't pleased. So I can see them really enforcing this. So we're going to get back to that. Now, they're prohibiting destroying any type of public property, including monuments, the racist statues that are up. Making those convicted of participating in a violent or disorderly assembly ineligible for state benefits or employment. Making those convicted of participating in a violent or disorderly assembly ineligible for state benefits or employment. They can deem anything a violent or disorderly assembly. If you're not watching what's happening in Louisville, that's what they're doing right now. They've arrested the House of Representatives person for Kentucky. She's now been charged with a third-class felony when they were trying to get out of the streets into a church. I can post her information as she recorded this live on her IG Live. In addition, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, said that any local governments that choose to defund their law enforcement agencies will be denied any grants or aid from the state. And any cities that reduce law enforcement funding will no longer have the protection of sovereign immunity. So this is what we're dealing with. Now, our First Amendment right says this. This is the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. They're trying to take your First Amendment rights away, people, especially here in Florida. So this is the thing that it needs to be taken heed of. Now, they already said that, Bloomberg, as the rich billionaire, it was paying the fines and for felons and felonies, because in Florida, if a felon had the right to restore, the right to vote restored, God, but they have to have no fines or anything like that. And it's like 34,000 people with fines that can't pay. So Bloomberg decided to pay for a lot of them. It's so many people. I'm sorry I didn't have the amount of money that's needed, but I know he's putting 20 or 100. It's an astronomical amount of money that he's putting into this. But when they found out that Bloomberg ass was paying for these felons' fines so they could vote against Trump ass, obviously, these bitches went and said that they are having a criminal probe maybe already underway. They investigated Bloomberg vowed to help fucking felons to pay for their debts. How dumb they think we are. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How dumb do they think we are? I don't really understand. I don't get it. But what I do get is this is a fucking ploy to keep us down. It is a fucking ploy to not only to voter suppress. This is a major ploy for voter suppression, bitch. They mad that a motherfucker is paying the fines for the felons, so they investigating a criminal probe. We know Bloomberg is a billionaire, bitch. He blew $50 million on fucking trying to be president alone and didn't bat a motherfucking eye. So he has the money to pay what LeBron James and all these other motherfuckers have been trying to. They've been gathering money to. I don't know why they're gathering money. I really should just see how much the fines are for these motherfuckers that owe money to pay. I'm sorry I didn't have that information, but I'm doing a lot of other shit too, trying to get all this. So this is the shit. You see what they're trying to do to the extent they're trying to go to keep you motherfuckers from voting. And I don't want to be on here advocating voting. I really don't. Because I want all this shit to burn down to the ground, ancient Rome style. Every great empire has to fall in America. She's on deck. Like them niggas say in baseball, America's on deck. And that's just that on that. Now, and to bring this back, I was going to talk about the Wells Fargo CEO talking about that racist shit. And he apologized because he blamed the lack of diversity at the bank on a very limited pool of black talent to recruit from. That's what he said. That's why Wells Fargo ain't got that many black executives, black employees, that many black nothing. And in a memo he released, he's reflecting on his insensitive comments. I was going to read that, but I don't even feel like reading all that because to me it's bullshit. Wells Fargo already been bullshit when they charge you these just random fees out of nowhere. I stopped fucking Wells Fargo back in 2009, 10. Fuck a Wells Fargo. Fuck anybody who bank with them because you should have known you don't need to be fucking with them. I don't see why anybody still banks with Wells Fargo unless you're on the you're the opposition because they're gonna. Wells Fargo has no good banking system. They've been charged with stealing money and fraud and all this shit, and you still banking with them. Use a dummy, bitch. Yes, I'm talking to you. If you bank with them, use a dummy. Sorry, but you are. If you're black and you're a person of color, you're definitely a dummy. Now, this right here. But before I move on to this next thing to give me joy, this gives me joy too. And this is
he mentioned at the press conference, which I thought was quite interesting, that he's a black man. And as I laid and cried and hurt for Tamika Palmer and for Breonna Taylor and for Kenny Walker and for Janiyah, who we need to love up on. As I laid there and I thought about him saying he's a black man, I thought about the ships that went into Fort Monroe and Jamestown with our people on them over 400 years ago. And how there were also black men on those ships that were responsible for bringing our people over here. Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery.
She said it.
And helped white men to capture our people, to abuse them and to traffic them while our women were raped, while our men were raped by savages. That is who you are, Daniel Cameron. You are a coward, you are a sellout, and you were used by the system to harm your own mama, your own black mama. We have no respect for you. No respect for your black skin. Because all of our skin folk ain't our kinfolk. And you do not belong to black people at all.
And you do not belong to black people at all. And that's the end I got to talk about with Daniel Cameron. And this is the other thing that I'm gonna probably lead out with this shit. But this brought me so much. And the disclaimer, I'll give a disclaimer after I play this shit. I'm gonna play it again. I don't hear no sound. I really want y'all to know that officer that thought he was finna be Captain Save-A-Ho and jump across that banister and try to grab that motherfucker who was running through the courtroom. He was at a sentencing hearing. I have no idea what he was accused of doing. So if it was for some heinous crime like murdering a motherfucker or rape or some shit, I do apologize. But look, he was out of there and he's still on the run. That officer who tried to jump and reach this bitch, his back is clearly blown out, and that motherfucker very end, the fat officer trying to get through. I'm sorry for the people that's on the listening podcast, but it's no sound to this. But if you want to watch, you can come to youtube.com/sweet.the-podcast. You too can watch and see what is happening here. Because I'm gonna play it again for my own shits and giggles. I can hear church bells tolling. I can hear saints are singing. I can see surfs are rolling. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank y'all for being so loyal, especially the audio podcast listen. That's the people that's listening on Spotify, Apple, tuned in, not watching, but watching too. But I'm giving my pumps and credit to the people that are listening, because I just surpassed 1,000 listening subscribers on across all podcast platforms. That's all together: Apple, Spotify, Google, Spreaker, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, all that shit. So we just reached over 1,000 motherfucking listeners with only 30 episodes on the audio. The audio part is behind than the live version. And I'm working to get that caught up. Y'all bear with me. I do apologize. By the time y'all hear this, I'm gonna hope that it's gonna be next week. I'm gonna drop all these fucking episodes on through the week. I'm probably gonna drop 3 episodes Monday. No, 3 episodes tomorrow, 3 episodes Sunday, 3 episodes Monday. And that'll put me up to 9. So, and then 1 episode on Tuesday. So you will be caught up. That takes a lot of work, because editing those down and condensing them for podcast platforms takes work. It's not easy, because I am a stickler for sound quality. So that's a thing that I'm gonna do for you guys, just because we're at the Big 4-0 and I want all this shit to be synced up. As I want the audio podcast to be synced up with the correct episode as the live version. And just to get a prayer in for that, I'm going to get my girl who's been praying. You know what? I'm not going to play that, because every time I play that Mama D video, after I get off my live, it be some shit happening. Like last time I played that shit, Mama D, this was what? I think, yeah, I found out that the news broke that Chadwick Boseman had passed. So I left. We ain't finna play Mama D singing She Surrenders All, because she obviously didn't surrender enough. And that is some conjuring shit of energy that I don't need to be playing from Mama D. And I'm so sorry, sis, but I just cannot do it. I do apologize. So please, 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 I thank all the people that are the podcast listeners. I ain't gonna even shout you out, but I see you. So thank you for the 1,000 subscribers. We finally got up on them bitches. Okay? And another thing, 411motherfucking.org. I'm gonna put this up. Vote411.org / goddamn it, ballot. If you go here, put in your information, like where you live, it'll tell you, you know, all those questions when you about to vote and you some shit about this Article 2 act that's trying to pass and it's about sanitation. Well, this shit shows you everything that's going to be on the upcoming ballot. This shit shows you everything and it breaks it down to describe what it is and who it is. And you know what? Since I have time and because this is my shit, I'm going to go over here because I pulled this up earlier. Vote411.org, and it gets a voter guide. It tells you all the people that are on the ballots, what they're running for, their party affiliation, and the descriptions about them and the support they have behind them. Like this one CRC amendment question number 3. This is the shit they be putting on ballots, and by the time you get there, you have no fucking clue what the fuck they're talking about. So, and this is me talking, and I end up just picking some shit that I think that I understand. And this thing here is suspending time for gathering petition signatures, doing mandatory reviews, and setting deadline for 1% notification. So this shit will describe what all those random ass amendment questions and shit that's on your ballot that you don't know what the fuck that shit means. You need to go here. They already have what's going to be on your ballot in your area, in your state, for the local election, for the president. All this shit is going to be on there. And for me in Central Florida, they have 11 fucking ballots, 11 people. So you need to go on there and look for all those random questions so you can know what the fuck you're voting for and just ain't guessing. Like for those questions and shit like that, besides the weed to legalize, I didn't know what the fuck I was just in there guessing, voting. I mean, like, no, this seems right. I guess I'll vote for that. So please go to vote411.org / ballot so you can know what's on your fucking ballot before you go in this bitch. It's going to tell you everything about the candidates. It's going to tell you everything about what they're standing for and their support. And after you see their names on that bitch, do a quick Google search of that bitch, copy and paste their name, go over to Google or DuckDuckGo that's not being traced. Bing is a good one that's not being traced that much. Well, they're all being traced. Fuck it. But on a lower level than Google. So vote411.org, bitches. Do that because the ones that talking about withholding your vote, please don't. Please don't. Our ancestors and people have died just so our ungrateful asses can vote. And again, I am all for the ones that's talking about we need to burn the system down. Please, let's burn it down. I'm all for it. And shout out to Will Smith. Happy birthday, my nigga. This is the reason why I wear this shirt, because it's Will Smith's birthday. And yes, I decided to do this episode alone because I started off doing this podcast alone with no guests. For the first 10 episodes, it was the first 9. On the 10th episode, I had a guest, and the guest was Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist. I always want to say Twix because it's spelled Twist. But Oliver Twist was the first guest I've had on Sweet the Podcast. So shout out to Oliver. I was supposed to have Oliver on on episode 25, but our schedules didn't line up. And for the people that care, I did successfully go through my procedure. That's why Sweet was not here for the past 2 or 3 weeks now, because I had to heal. I had to go through that surgery procedure. And as it stands, your boy's still kicking. Your boy is still alive. So please, I appreciate all the support for Sweet the Podcast. I really, really fucking do. For the 1,000 subscribers, for the listeners on the audio podcast, I appreciate you. And I'm praying that I can get to YouTube is the hardest place for me to get subscribers. So please, if you're watching this, please subscribe on YouTube. We got 1,000 on the listening, but I need to get the The watching subscribers on YouTube up. I ain't even really worried about Facebook. I ain't worried about Twitter. I ain't worried about Periscope. But please, if you could you watch on YouTube instead? That's the place that I need y'all to watch. YouTube. Then we're all good. Then I can give more content, more high quality content. Sweet will be moving to, yes, moving around. We will be going to different places, giving more interviews. This is just a behind the scenes now type of shit expose of what's to come from Sweet, because this is episode 40 and we've been here a while and we're gonna still be here. Sweet's not going anywhere. I know that there's a lot of people that's like, when they don't see me on for like a week or two, they get kind of excited, like, oh, did it fail? Did it falter? Did he not succeed? Or maybe they didn't even notice. But it's still here. Actually kind of doing well. We have a lot of things coming up, and I'm going to be at a lot of live events coming up too. Safe ones, you know. I've been tested for the COVID recently, and I don't have it. And I wear my mask everywhere I go. So when I'm at live events, I will be doing the Sweet, the podcast live stream for where I'm at certain events coming up. Like Sunday, we have an episode coming Friday. I'm not going to say who, but yeah. And the next Friday is already booked too. So again, I really want to thank y'all for doing this and sitting here and watching this with me, the ones that have. And I see the viewers come in and go out, but the good thing is this shit is archived for future viewers. So I really thank you for that. Thank you. And just for the outro, I'm going to hit you with this. Ooh, I'm doing good on time, an hour, all by my damn self. Boom.
The flavor profile of this team.
Please, if you're listening, if you're watching right now on Facebook, please follow, share this page. If you're watching on Twitter, Periscope, please retweet, do your thing. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And I don't know where the button is, it's somewhere up there. Subscribe, leave a comment, let a nigga know what you feel, if you liked it, you didn't like it. And if you're listening on Apple, subscribe, comment, rate it. That really helps. Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, all the things that I've mentioned throughout this podcast, please just subscribe to it. Turn on your notifications. Let it know that when this bitch, a new episode is up, it'll let you know. So you don't really have to do much. So I thank y'all for watching and supporting me and the ones that do. There are future episodes that are coming up. Sweet, the podcast presents Spill Tea, will be back sooner than later. That's exclusively on OnlyFans and Just for Fans. I only really be promoting the OnlyFans, but it is on Just for Fans as well. So Just for Fans /Will_3rd. And they is our episodes, the only two that are up. There are other nude and freaking shit on now, but the two Sweet the Podcast episodes on are featuring Jose Adonis and Judas King. And yes, it's some X-rated shit. So if it's not for your kids, if it's for you older people, y'all can watch. I don't really give a fuck. But it's been an hour, and that is my time on here. And I thank y'all so much for watching and participating. And please, all I'm just going to say is vote, 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 vote. And still organize to fight the system, burn this bitch down, vote in your local elections. Go to vote411.org and And I just got myself off, but I ain't finna do. I'm gonna show you. Vote411.org. Do that shit, please, so you can know what the fuck you're voting for, and enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. Be safe. Be happy. Love unconditionally, but don't let people run over you or take advantage of you either. Okay? And I'll see y'all probably again tomorrow. Maybe, because I'm feeling like I'm finna just flood y'all with shit right now. But it's gonna be good shit that you're not expecting. So thank you. Peace.